Hi everybody. Welcome to our second installment in the Survivor Guide series. We're going to be looking at William Bill Overbeck. This is Bill. Bill is a very powerful survivor that comes with some of the top meta perks used at high level play. He's definitely a very good survivor for you to be leveling up if you're a new player because of the strength of some of the perks that he brings. Being able to unlock those and get access across all your survivors to these perks, I would say is incredibly useful if you're looking for some stronger builds, some tougher builds. If you want something where you're really going to bring a lot of value, both for yourself and for your team, Bill's a very good survivor to look at. Now, Bill does have some pretty big weaknesses that come with him, both just with how his survivor is functions in the game, and also with the kit that he comes with. While it is very powerful, it has some pretty clear weaknesses, and we'll discuss those as well. So just be aware if you're leveling Bill up, if Bill is kind of the character that you look at, you gravitate towards, you think that his aesthetic is really cool, which it is, um, be aware that there are some weaknesses you're going to be dealing with, and we can discuss which survivors I'd recommend you level up with Bill to help mitigate those weaknesses. So let's go ahead and look at his character info and look at the 3 perks that he comes with. So Bill comes with 3 perks. He comes with an enhancement and unlock perk in the same slot in the form of Unbreakable. He comes with another enhancement perk in the form of Borrowed Time, and then he comes with an information perk in the form of Left Behind. So I'm going to talk about these from what I would consider the weakest to the strongest, and we'll just kind of go through and discuss each of them. So the weakest perk that Bill has, and I consider this perk a 1 out of 10 perk. I think it's a 1 out of 10 perk for new survivors. I think it's a 1 out of 10 perk for experienced survivors. Left Behind. Left Behind allows you to see the aura of the hatch if you are the only remaining survivor in the trial. Um, so yesterday we looked at Dwight and we saw Bond, which just tells you the auras of other survivors within range, and there's no other stipulations. Left Behind is an information perk that is both very limited in the information it provides, which is the location of the hatch, and is very limited in the qualifications that need to be met. So every other survivor in the game either needs to have been killed off, sacrificed to the entity, or they need to have left through the exit gate. And only when that criteria is met do you get access to the aura of the hatch. And you still have to be close enough to the hatch to see it. So Left Behind is in general a really bad perk because it only provides you value at the very end of the game, like the very end of the game, not even the end game, but after all the survivors have been killed off or after survivors have gone through the door. That's the only point where Left Behind begins to provide you value. There's a chance that by the time all the survivors are killed off or have gone through the door, that the killer has already closed the hatch, and so even if you can see it, unless you have a high quality key, you still can't get through it. Um, there's just very few scenarios where Left Behind is going to provide you value, and there's almost no scenario unless you're working on a specific challenge in one of the compendiums. There's almost no scenario where you're going to want to play with Left Behind in mind. Um, it's just not a perk I'd recommend. As soon as you're able to as a survivor, I would get Left Behind off and take literally any other perk that you can get access to. There's only 2 perks that I can think of off the top of my head that I think could be worse for a new survivor than Left Behind. That's No Mither on David King and Repressed Alliance on Cheryl. Those are the only 2 perks that where you're actively like potentially trolling your teammates, whereas Left Behind is just kind of an empty perk slot. Okay, that's the bad. Let's talk about the good, and there's a lot that's good with Bill. So we're going to start with Unbreakable. Unbreakable, I would say, is going to, for new survivors in newer survivor lobbies, Unbreakable is going to be about a 6 out of 10. It's good, it's valuable, but as you get with more experienced survivors, if you're playing with Swifts, and if you as a player start to develop more experience, this is going to go from a 6 out of 10 to like an 8 out of 10. And it's going to get substantially better. So what does Unbreakable do? When the killer hits you and you go into the dying state, that's while you're on the ground and you're crawling around, you're going to recover from that state 25% faster, and that will scale up as you kind of level the perk up. So you'll recover in the dying state faster, which means that it's easier for survivors to come heal you and help you get picked back up. So that's pretty decent on its own. Not amazing, but good. It's helpful because it gives survivors the opportunity to get you back in the fight. But The piece that makes Unbreakable really, really powerful is what I would consider kind of the unlock, the thing that you get access to that most other survivors don't, and that's the ability to fully recover yourself one time in a trial. Now, this is incredibly powerful, but it does require that the killer allows you to stay on the ground long enough where you can fully recover. The challenge that comes with this is that that particular aspect leaves you relying more on your teammates than it does you having appropriate skill expression, right? Your teammates need to threaten the killer enough or give them enough temptation where they will go for the teammates instead of picking you up. The one thing that you as a player can do to help increase your chances of getting unbreakable value is when you go down, try to go down by a pallet that has not been dropped yet. Why is this? Killers will pick up a survivor in most scenarios if it is safe, and you want to create environments that are not safe for the killer to pick you up. If a survivor is by a pallet that has not been dropped yet, and the killer goes to pick that survivor up, if another survivor comes up and drops the pallet when the killer has finished their pickup animation, it will stun the killer, and because the killer is stunned, they will drop the survivor. So while a killer is by that pallet, they're at a huge risk of being stunned and losing that survivor they just downed. So by putting yourself there, you're putting the killer at risk. And for me, if a survivor goes down by a pallet and I see them obviously go down, that killer will frequently do a little bit of searching around the area, make sure there's no survivors before coming back and picking you up. That does two things. It gives you time to do your recovery. It gives survivors time to come and be in the area to threaten the killer. The other things that you want to kind of look for if you're looking for unbreakable value, survivors with flashlights that clearly are coming up and threatening the killer with flashlight stuns can also get you off. And then survivors that are also just running up and giving the killer another tempting choice is somebody that they can try to down. All of these things can let you get to that point where you can pick yourself up, but a lot of times in newer survivor lobbies, those aren't going to be options for you. And so you might not see the full value of Unbreakable until you get kind of further into the game with more experienced survivors. But nevertheless, this is a very, very good perk. And if you have survivors that are working well and aggressively around you, you can get a ton of value. And this is one of those perks that won't always give you that full value, but when it does, it can be absolutely game changing. So strongly recommend you work on Bill for Unbreakable. Strongly recommend you unlock this perk and get it on other survivors. This is a perk commonly utilized in the meta. It has a lot of value. It is a very, very good perk. So even if you don't feel like you're getting the full value right away, just know that as you keep playing Dead by Daylight, hopefully as you find more people who play Dead by Daylight and as you can get into Survive with Friends groups, you're going to start seeing more and more value out of this. So that's the medium tier, and we're already at that kind of 8 out of 10 stage. Let's talk about the real reason why you play Bill, why you level him up, and why you get the unlock, and that's borrowed time. Borrowed time for new survivors is a 10 out of 10 perk, and for experienced players, it's a 10 out of 10 perk. This is like the cherry on top. If you like Bill, if you're playing Bill, if I were playing a level 1 Bill, this is the first perk I would take with my one perk slot. It is absolutely incredible. It provides a ton of value. It helps cover weaknesses and mistakes that new survivors are going to make, and it gives experienced survivors a really powerful tool that they can play around. So borrowed time is an enhancement for your unhooking of other survivors. When you unhook another survivor, you give them the endurance status effect for 8 seconds. I believe that goes up to 12 seconds as you level it up. This is incredibly powerful. Now, it's essentially an insurance policy when you get a survivor off a hook that for that window of time, if the killer is coming back and gets in a chase with that survivor, if the killer swings at that survivor within that window, instead of downing them again and getting an instant free hook state, they do kind of this special instance of damage where the survivor gets the little yellow bar under their health, and they don't go down. They get this nice little white aura that shines around them, and they get a speed boost from the hit. And so what this means is that it really hurts killers who try to tunnel survivors who just come off hooks. It gives you a lot of value there. And then obviously that survivor with that yellow bar needs to heal themselves, but it just guarantees that you are getting somebody off a hook in a safer state, right? Um, This can be used in the end game if you have a survivor who's on a hook. If you unhook that survivor and you all run towards the exit gates together, and the killer goes to hit somebody, if the survivor with the borrowed time effect gets in the way of the killer and soaks that hit, they get their speed boost towards the door, they get out faster, and nobody else takes a hit, typically as you're running towards the door. So it can help make sure that everybody gets out. Very powerful in the end game, very powerful as an insurance policy. Of the perks that Bill has, this is kind of the defining feature of Bill's play, which is that Bill can do really, really powerful, very safe unhooks, even if killers are nearby, because Bill has access to borrowed time. So, if this is kind of the big perk you play around, and these are the perks that Bill starts with, what are we noticing that Bill is missing? The biggest piece that Bill is missing in his kit, if he has an information perk, he has an enhancement perk, and he has an enhancement perk that unlocks a bonus effect, he doesn't have anything that helps him with chases against killers. There's nothing in this kit that is going to help Bill himself loop the killer for longer periods of time and give his other survivor friends access to additional time to keep working on generators. So that's the number one thing that Bills need to look for in order to kind of upgrade this particular kit. The other piece that's specific to Bill is the fact that Bill is incredibly loud when he is in the injured state. He's probably one of, if not the loudest survivors with the grunts of pain, the coughs, the noises that he makes while injured. He creates an excessive amount of noise and is much easier for killers to locate than other survivors are. So, with the survivors that we have access to as free survivors, who do I recommend you look at to kind of help with Bill's weaknesses? Well, if we're playing around borrowed time already and we're looking to unhook people and we need a looping perk, David King is an incredibly good survivor to level up with Bill. David King comes with Dead Hard, which is a challenging perk to use, but probably the premier looping perk that provides you with extra value while running from the killer. So working on David King and getting Dead Hard up and adding that to Bill's suite as one of his 4 perks, incredible. And then if we look at We're Gonna Live Forever, we see another really good perk that's kind of oriented around helping survivors. So We're Gonna Live Forever can gain tokens, and one of those tokens can occur from safe hooks. As Bill, with borrowed time, we're looking to unhook survivors. And then what happens with those tokens is we get extra blood points, which helps us to level up survivors faster. So David helps with the issue of looping, and he creates a perk that synergizes well with your desire to unhook survivors. It gets you extra blood points. It lets you get more people, more perks, just more stuff for your survivors. So I really like David King for these 2 perks to go with Bill. The other way you can cover Bill's weakness of the noise is with Jake Park's Iron Will. It's very common for Bills to run Iron Will. Iron Will reduces the noises that survivors make when they're injured. At the top rank, it's 100% reduction, which means Bill doesn't cough. He doesn't have any of those grunts of pain. There's none of the noises that Bill normally makes. So this is an incredibly powerful perk. I would say if it were me, starting with all of my survivors at level 1, while I'm leveling Bill up, I'd be putting points into David King first to get that Dead Hard and get We're Gonna Live Forever. And then I would level Jake up and start getting that Iron Will perk. I think that with these 3 survivors specifically together, you're going to have a very, very solid set of perks. And if you focus on unlocking these 2 survivors next, Bill is more likely to run into these teachable perks, and you can kind of get Bill set up with a really solid core of abilities. Let's go ahead now. I think that's everything that I have to say just about Bill. Let's go ahead and hop into a match. And we'll start, looking at Bill. So I'm going to start this first match just with Bill's perks. So I've got Borrowed Time fully unlocked. So it's a 12-second duration. This is what I'm playing around. I'm playing around unhooks. We have Unbreakable, so I can get off my pallets. And then I've got, what was it, Left Behind? I don't even, the name of it's irrelevant because it's bad. Now, what am I going to do to help cover up Bill's weaknesses of the noise when he's injured? Well, I'm going to take a med kit. A brown med kit, if you make all of your skill checks, you don't have to do great, you just have to meet the skill checks and not hurt yourself. A brown med kit will give me 1 free health state on Bill. Okay. Do I have a challenge? I do. All right, let's hop into this one. So I wanted to always, as any survivor, regardless of what your perks are, regardless of where your strengths are, and in Bill's case, it's unhooking survivors, working on generators, always number one is survivor. So I want to make sure I'm doing that. But if I can position myself so that I can evade the killer early on, guarantee that I'm in position to get unhooks, that's kind of the ideal play style for a Bill early on, working around borrowed time. So whereas like with Dwight yesterday, I was finding that first generator, I was hopping on that generator, and I was getting there doing my thing to get as much value out of Dwight's perks. For Bill, I'm probably going to try and find something a little bit more central, a little bit closer to the middle of the map. I'm going to wait and be patient to make sure that the killer doesn't find me right away. And then I'm going to start working on the generator. And that way, when a survivor gets in a chase and gets down and gets hooked by the killer, if I'm a little bit more central, I can then move to the location where they are. And I can use that to help me out. Now, you don't have to do this. You can obviously hit that first generator if you want to. If I'm trying to be conscious about being the person who can go unhook, I want to put myself in a position where no matter where the survivor is, I can go help with that. And Mount Ormond is a great map to do that because it has an incredible main building. Ah, Corrupt Intervention. Okay, Corrupt Intervention blocks the 3 furthest generators from the killer. Okay, it's Hag. Okay, that was a huge mistake for me. And getting in chase, obviously not the best, but... And this is where Bill's noise is going to be a huge problem. Okay. There's not a whole else I could do there. Okay. So, not ideal, but I didn't see the Hag in time. We kind of got as much value as we could. I was hoping I'd have a pallet this way. Okay. So, Bill's weakness highlighted here instead of playing to my strengths. Okay, so I'm going to get back in that boon totem. Okay, I'm just gonna use my medkit here. Safe spot to use the medkit. I got a pallet. I have a drop down. Spirit relies on noises while she is in spirit form. And therefore, it's very, very dangerous for me as Bill, who makes a lot of noise, to be dealing with her. So I want to get myself healed up as quickly as possible. Okay. And I'm just waiting for the hook to happen. Now I saw that it was there. Okay. So Leon's going for the unhook, which is fine. The thing is, even if my strength is unhooking, like, I'm not going to overplay it when I could be working on generators. No matter what your build is, generators are the most important thing. Now what I'm gonna do, cool, Spirit's on me. So I'm looking for a pallet now. I'm looking for a place where I can loop. And I'm pulling Spirit over to a corner of the map. Looks like Leon's working on this generator, which is not good for us. And I'm watching that red stain. So So I need to make distance. Spirit just got a hook there. I need to pull her away from the hook. Okay. Okay, she hasn't seen me. I didn't create any scratch marks going back towards Leon. Okay. So I need somebody else to be going for Leon right now. Perfect, they got it. Cool. And now what we can do is we can go back here. So I'm not necessarily getting huge value out of borrowed time, but I'm looking for the opportunities if I have them. And this is important with any perk. Even if you have a good perk, don't overuse it. Getting another generator done is huge for us, especially with 3 of us working. Now I probably should spread out. In fact, that might be what I go do. Because we're not getting as much value, but we're here. We can just crush this one out. Now I know that we have a generator in that corner. I know we have a generator in that main building. I don't know where kind of our final generators are. But even with those 2, they're not super close. So I think we're in pretty good shape. And then they're going to come heal me. And honestly, Michaela giving us the ability to finish the gen, giving me a health state to get back up, this is good. Crouch to say thank you, and then I'm going to go hit this corner up. Actually, I'm going to go back to the middle of the map. Everybody's got 1 hook state except for Lori. Michaela doing work. And this, I position myself centrally. I'm in a good spot to help. If Michaela goes down, I can get that borrowed time unhook. Now I think that I heard her go spirit mode. Okay, no, we're good. Sorry if you hear the dog barking in the background. Michaela's just doing fantastic work. This is the thing, Michaela very clearly is the better looper than I am, and that's okay. Now here's another thing I can provide value. Michaela's injured. Oh, she's making distance. She's made a ton of distance, actually. Now, Spirit had just kicked this generator, and I've instantly repaired it now. It's a time investment every time a killer does a kick. Okay, that's a mistake, but what I want to do is I want to get where Spirit can't see me. And I want to be ready for this unhook. So there she is doing her kick. She's going back around the Leon. So we're going to have to be a little patient with this. Oh, they already picked him up. Ah, what a fool I am. So Leon's on death hook. Honestly, if I can show myself off to the Spirit here, Michaela and I are good. The only person we don't want getting hit right now is Leon. Anybody else is a good choice. And it appears we have this generator. I think we have that far corner generator, and then the generator in this corner. And we're just about done with this one. So the best thing that I've done in this game, honestly, every time Spirit has kicked this generator, I've come back and I've tapped it right away. Generators don't take any instant damage unless killers have specific perks. They just start backing up and regressing. Okay, Okay. I have to protect Leon. Okay, taking that hit gives Leon distance. And if I go on hook, it's fine. The goal here is just to protect my guy who's on death hook. Leon, I do need you to stop moving so I can heal you, though. Oh, she snuffed it out. Okay, cool. Oh, hey, there she is. I don't have a pallet here. I'm actually in a lot of trouble. We're going to have to try and get a 360 because I don't have any pallets. A 360 is just a really tight turn you make. No. I did it way too early. Oh, man, I was right by the pallet, too, if I just kept going. Ah, that's okay. Okay, the door's opened. I'm on my second hook state, but I have the ability to, make these skill checks. I've given my survivor friends the opportunity to heal themselves up and possibly get to me. This is a case where if I weren't the person on hook, borrowed time would be huge. Or see if she comes for me. The door's right here. Now, if you're a new survivor and you're injured like this, don't go out of the door right away. What we'll do is we'll get close to the door. Lori will heal me, and that way, Spirit might come towards us and push us out, and if she's pushing us out, she's not pushing other survivors out. And if she gets Michaela in this scenario, yep, not quite close enough. And that's kind of the danger, but this is okay. I mean, we had a good game. So a little closer to the door. I was trying to press the W button, and it wasn't canceling with Lori healing me. That's okay. So, did we get any bar time on hooks? No. Not one. Will we try to do it for our next game? Yes. Yes, we will. Now, unfortunately, I don't play Bill a ton. I don't have all the perks that we've discussed unlocked, but I will get a looping perk on him. Let's give the GGs. I will get a looping perk on him. I think that all I have is Sprint Burst, which admittedly is not ideal, but we can discuss Sprint Burst and kind of how that looks on a Survivor. Sprint Burst comes from Meg Thomas. It's another one of the free Survivor perks. And it's good. It's good because you have a lot of direct control over when you get to kind of apply it and use it. It's right here, and I don't think I have anything else. I don't, not currently. Okay. So I'm going to use Sprint Burst, and then I'm going to go ahead, and as I discussed, we have David King's We're Going to Live Forever, which gives me extra blood points. It works well with borrowed time, and we discussed, like, in what scenario in that game would Left Behind have ever really come in valuable for me? It wouldn't have. So let's grab this. Other perks that I really like with borrowed time that are generic, will Make It, increases your healing speed 100%. If you unhook a survivor and they aren't injured, or they aren't at risk of being hit by the killer, you can just use Will Make It's advantage and like instantly get them back up to a health state because your healing is so fast. It's really, really good. This is good because you get your additional blood points, but the exit gates need to be open, and normally with how the game is played right now, survivors don't open the exit gates until everybody's kind of running for them. So you're not typically going to get as much value out of this. Definitely recommend Will Make It over No One Left Behind. Because I'm Bill and I'm super loud when injured, I'm going to put another medkit on and just give myself that extra opportunity to heal up and be quiet. Let's talk a little bit about Sprint Burst as I hop into this match. So Sprint Burst, when I start running, instead of running at a normal survivor pace, I break into a sprint and move at 150% speed. So I go really, really fast for 3 seconds. And then I get the exhausted effect, which is going to happen from any looping perk that you have. the exhausted effect essentially prevents me from being able to use something like sprint burst, like dead hard, whatever looping perk I have, prevents me from being able to use it until the exhausted effect goes away. Now, in this case, if we look at the loadout, exhausted effect at tier 2 lasts for 50 seconds. Now, it's going to be a little debuff on the right of my screen, right around here, and it's going to sit there. Now, exhaustion wears off while your survivor isn't running. But as long as your survivor is running, the exhaustion effect will not tick down. So while it is 50 seconds, that 50 seconds will stay at 50 seconds until the killer gives up on me and until I'm able to walk. If you get hooked, your exhaustion effect goes away and you get access to that ability again, which is important to remember. I frequently make mistakes with Sprint Burst and forget that I have it. I'm going to make the mistake right now. At some point in this game, I can almost guarantee that I'm going to use Sprint Burst when I don't need to. Hatch in the main building. And so that's another thing. Somebody just did a thing showing where the hatch is probably going to be. That further kind of mitigates the value of Left Behind, right? If people already know where the hatch is, there's not much value in seeing the hatch's aura. There could be an argument that because you're at the main building, you can see where the hatch is and like run straight to it. It's just a bad perk. It's not a good perk. We'll see. What I might do is I'll probably upload this video. I typically am going to do 3 games. What I may do is just do some more Survivor games. And we're going to, if I find the opportunity to get a good borrowed time clip, I'll show that. Because there's a decent chance we never see borrowed time get its value. But the fact that it's there and provides that safety is what's really important. You'll also notice in that game, every time I went down, there was no point where survivors were really able to help keep me from being put on hook. It just wasn't feasible with where people were. And that's where you're going to see some of the limitations with Unbreakable. If you don't have a group that's really actively harassing the killer when they get a survivor downed, Unbreakable's not going to feel as good. You're not going to get as much value out of it. That's why I say borrowed time is number 1. Now, the nice thing about Sprint Burst and borrowed time working together is Sprint Burst trains you not to leave unnecessary scratch marks. Scratch marks are created when you run. They are very obvious to the killer. And what I'm doing, again, in this, is I'm working towards kind of a middle of the map generator. Okay, I've just seen where Artist is. So I'm going up against the Artist. If you're going up against Artist and know it, you want to be a little patient about getting on your generators. She'll throw crows out in the beginning of the game, and often that's going to give her some information. Okay, she's working around Killer Shack. I don't want to run because I don't want to trigger Sprint Burst. I'm just going to casually walk up and get working on this generator. I kind of have an idea. The chase that's going on close to me, Artists and Killers frequently are going to be pretty focused on whatever survivor they're going for. And I see the little bones. If you look by Claudette's nameplate on the left, you can see those shaking. That means that the killer is going after them. So it's pretty easy info for me to have there. I actually think in this case, the correct thing for me to do Kate is taking the hit. I'm going to start going for Claudette. And I'm going to use my Sprint Burst right now. I'm going to get Claudette off hook. Now Claudette has 12 seconds of borrowed time. If we see that little yellow thing come up, then we know that... And I get Kate up. So Claudette didn't get the borrowed time in time. And this is really bad, so we need to protect Claudette now. So what I want to do is I want to risk going down for my first hook if it means getting Claudette off of her off of her second hook. If I can avoid Claudette going down. Now I'm going to heal myself. Hopefully somebody's got Claudette's getting up to have it. Okay. Oh, but I can go. I'm gonna risk it. Now we'll make it. Makes me better at healing survivors who are downed. And now I protect Claudette. So I'm gonna block and take a hit for the killer. And this gives Claudette a little bit more room to work with because Artist is slowed down when she gets an attack. Artist makes a whiff. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to get to the pallet. I want to get to the pallet and then I'm going to recover there. If I'm at the pallet, I create that threat for the killer, and then I can start my recovery. So if you're using Unbreakable, this is the situation you want to be in. She's sabotaging the hook, so Artist has to go a pretty far distance to get me on a hook somewhere. Oh, that's bad. Now that's sabotage, so he has to carry aways. I'm going to get my Unbreakable. Unbreakable's off, I'm up, and I'm sprint bursting away. Oh. My screen did a weird. Now, we're not getting any generators done, so that's a big problem for us. Now, being injured going for the unhook is pretty dangerous. Cool. I basically just walked in front of a loaded gun there. If you're going up against Artists, look behind you. Healing other survivors is way faster than empathy. We need to get a generator done. If you can get a middle generator done, it's great, because it helps mitigate the chances you're going to have a 3-gen. We move away, finishing the generator, sticking the gen. Okay, now that we've got a generator done, I'm pretty okay getting healed up. That's perfect. Somebody who has no hook just got downed, so that's fantastic for us. Now, I want to get myself in a position, and if you watch, this is super important. You see my exhaustion perk where it is? This is great for me. I'm going to actually try and pick the chase up with Sprint Burst. I'm going to Sprint Burst and get her. Borrow time. And then I'm going to get over on this side of the map. If she needs the heal, I can do it. But I'm also now, we have somebody on the far side of the map working on a generator. And we're working here. So that's 2 stacks when we're going to live forever, because I'm consciously going for unhooks because I have borrowed time. I'm getting a nice little chunk of blood points out of this game, regardless if I win or lose. This is, again, adding David King to your repertoire, very helpful. Now, I don't have any hooks yet, which means that I should be thinking about when I'm going to be taking a chase. I don't need to take the chase just yet. We're in okay shape. But when my fellow survivors start getting close to their death hooks, their second hook state, that's when I need to start making sure that I am picking up chases for survivors. We're going to get Fang up, and then I'm going to go look for... In fact, I'm going to go right now. If you look, my exhaustion perk, almost done, which means that I almost have access to Sprint Burst. I can do this cool little stutter step, and then continue running. We'll see if I can pull it off. I don't know where the chase is, and I thought I did, so we're going to... Now, when you have crows, make sure you repel. With Artist, you really need to pay attention to where she sets her crows up. Oh, I can't get through while repelling. Okay, that's good to know. I was like, why isn't this working? I don't play against Artist much. I only play as her. So all of my information is like from the killer side. Okay. And again, I'm just pulling away from where I know like our powerful setup is. I'm just trying to take her to a loop like this one. And I'm... Get the stun out. Okay. Cool. So things I did in that chase, obviously I was using the pallet. And then here, I threatened the pallet. She knows that I'm standing on it, so she has a hard time approaching. But instead of using it, I just, get away. Get that extra loop and get a little bit more time, a little bit more value. And this is great. We're all on one hook state. This is exactly where we want to be. Me picking that chase up, me being the one who gets hooked, means that none of our survivors are on their second hook state. We have a ton of time, and we're nice and spread out. We're in very good shape. Thank you, Fox Bullet. If you have the ability to sabotage, if you're doing a challenge to sabotage, be aware that it creates a very loud noise. It will draw the killer's attention. So I love that Kate's going to do it. It's great, get her challenges done, but also, get me healed up. I say thank you with a crouch. And I'm going to use the sprint burst. Now we have generators over there. We have a generator in this corner. I'm going to come back to this generator. This is the generator that I just want to sit on. It's very tough for Artists to come here for this. I have a pallet that's down. This is a great place to be working on a gen. Now she can check it periodically, and I'm scanning right now to see if I have an easy access to a locker, which I don't see right now. If you get into a locker while you have Artist crows on you, they'll instantly disperse. So if I had a locker that I could quickly jump in, that'd be great for me. As it stands, I don't. Now Artist has an ability where when she hooks a survivor on its specific hooks, she'll cause generators to explode. I'm going to get off real quick because there's a decent chance this generator will blow up. And look, because I didn't scream, she knows this is the most complete generator. She knows it just got damaged, but she doesn't know I'm on it because I got off. And I just need to kind of work and try and stick this generator to get us into the end game. Now, I didn't think about the fact that she was just going to instantly do that. Crows are going to come out in a second here. But hopefully I can draw her over here because she knows that I'm here now. Okay, I have an injured survivor. Oh. A little too wide there. Oh. Hey, Artist. Okay. We go upstairs. Okay, that's fine. My second hook state. My survivors are all on the far side of the map. We're doing fine. I got caught up there, and I didn't have a great angle to see her, and that's honestly not a great place to be. I think that the best thing to do is just risk the drop down. Because I'm not playing a survivor like Nia, dropping down from far distances slows me down a good bit. This is going to be a pretty good close game. Go. Oh. Yeah, I'm on Death Hook. So when I'm on Death Hook, health states start to become a little bit more valuable. Now, we could both run over to that generator and be working on it. This is good, too. And Artist still hasn't broken that pallet, so that generator's still relatively safe, and I know kind of my locations I can get to. I know that I have that window I can jump to. And I'm going to burn the Sprint Burst. Now, right here, Claudette's the one that we really want on the chase. We're going to start losing survivors because the rest of us are on Death Hooks. Now this is where I've got these crows. I get into a locker. Crows go away. I get out of the locker, and I'm good. I don't get into the locker quickly because I don't want the extra noise indicator. She's got to have, I think, Pentimento. Artist Pentimento is what would be doing this. We're affected by a Hex. It should be slowing us down. So Kate's going to go down. There's not a lot I can do about that at this point, but with her going down, we can hopefully get this generator done. Claudette and I wait, because we're good little survivors. Oh. And because... So you see the K cut off. The Fang did a good job saving her because she got off. Claudette and I right back to the generator. We're aware of the Scourge Hook that causes the explosion on the most repair generator. We're getting it done. I'm gonna go over for this one and start getting this one undone. And that's Noed. When there's a Noed, don't be a friend. Don't help people out. Just get out. Noed is a perk that allows the killer to instantly down somebody. Oh, except it's gone. I want to get a fast fault, so I run straight at it. She spent time braking. Now, hopefully, one of my compadres here. Oh, I got slowed down a lot. But she was expecting me to go in. I loop out. I get myself some more time. Okay. They aren't working on doors? What are they doing? Oh, I needed somebody to be on a door. If somebody's on a door there, like if somebody's on the door right behind that building, I get out easy. Well, I don't get out easy, but I have a chance to get out. Okay. That's fine. So we were able to get our unhooks. We were able to get We're Gonna Live Forever perks. We were able to use the Sprint Burst, which is my looping tool, a little bit. Not to the most effect, but we got some value out of it. And hey, we got an Unbreakable off. Biggest mistake in the end game there, I loved going for the totems. The biggest mistake that we made was not being aggressive on the door once we got that totem down. We give our GGs. Always be nice in the post game. Oh, but they're not in here. Well, you know. Yeah, so Pentimento, very important to kind of be dealing with. Obviously, no one escapes death is a very powerful perk you need to be careful of. Okay. And then if you see the Scourge Hook, which will cause the most repair generator to explode, essentially the killer will have 4 hooks. If they put a survivor on one of those 4 hooks, it causes that explosion. Survivors that are by the generator will scream. So if you are running up against an artist, or if you realize that they have the Scourge Hook pain resonance, once the survivor gets picked up, stand up, stop repairing, and then as soon as that person goes on hook, go back to it. You'll get around the scream from pain resonance. The killer will still know that's the most repaired generator. They won't know whether there's a survivor there or not. Don't give them that extra information. No one escapes death is a big perk to be aware of. It causes the killer to be able to down any survivor with one basic attack. Normally it takes two. The exposed effect is a big deal. This is a perk a lot of survivors complain about. If you're running into it and you're with a swift, if somebody's on like their first hook, look around for the totem, see if you can find it. If you break the totem, you turn no one escapes death off. If you can't find the totem, just get out, just leave, open that door, get out, mitigate the amount of value that they get out of this perk. This is a perk that can potentially get you one kill. The only way that you get more kills out of this is if survivors really mess up. The other two, not too important to talk about. I guess Pentamento's worth. Artist-specific perk. This particular perk will allow her to set up totems that have already been broken by survivors and turn them into hex totems. Survivors can break those totems then, and then they can't be relit. It's important to be aware of, though, because the very first totem reduces repair speed, in this case by 25%, which is a massive reduction in repair speed. She had a lot of generator hate on her build, and so we should have probably had somebody who was aggressively looking for those Hex Pentimento totems, because that 25% is a pretty big deal. Okay, let's hop into one more. We'll do Uno Mas. I hope that this has been helpful. I hope you guys have been enjoying this so far. I'm going to have a link to my Twitch if you want to see me playing live on stream, talking with people, hanging out, having a good time. That's available, twitch.tv/Cabnaroo. And if you want to come in, if you want to talk Survivor, if you want to discuss perks and kind of what you should be doing and what you should be focusing on, always happy to chat about that stuff. I love talking DVD. I have a really good time with this. I've been enjoying the videos we've been making so far. And I hope that these are enjoyable to watch. I hope that they get better. I know that these first ones are going to be a little rough. I'm still trying to find my footing on YouTube and making videos and like playing with essentially nobody to chat with. And it's a little strange. Again, I'm injured, or I'm really loud when I'm injured. Let's take a kit. Let's see if I have anything else. Is there anything else I would take? I like these two. I think what we're going to do instead of we're going to live forever, I'm going to take We'll Make It. This is another good perk I would slot in. And this is going to help me heal people when I get them off hook quickly. It works well with Borrowed Time. If we're in a dangerous space, Borrowed Time gives that unhooked survivor a little bit of safety. And then, if we're in a safe space, We'll Make It, which is a generic perk all your survivors can find, helps me to heal that survivor faster. These two work really, really well together. Another perk you would consider is Kindred, which just gives you the ores and kind of tells you when it's a little safer to go for that unhook and gives you some information. All good stuff. And then what I'm looking for, because I'm unhooking, that's altruism. So bonus blood points and altruism, if you're doing a build like this, very, very valuable. Ready up. Man, look at that dapper Felix doing his thing. 3 medkits. If we go up against a plague, we're in a lot of trouble. Oh, we got escape cake. RPD. RPD is one of the tougher maps, for sure. And it looks like we're going up against a killer with a Mori, so they're going to be trying to take us out. If you haven't played, I'm told if you've played, I think it's Resident Evil 2, like the remake, RPD makes a lot more sense. RPD makes no sense to me whatsoever. It's an absolute maze. It's gotten a little bit better as I've played more, but it's still a very confusing map. That being said, what you need to know is that there's the main kind of entrance area, which hits both the first floor and the second floor. There's typically 1, sometimes 2 generators in that main entrance. And then there's going to be generators that are split on either side of the map. So that main section, that main area, which I'll try and get to and show you guys, that's kind of your central point. When you're working on generators in RPD and you're doing repairs, what you want to try to do is do some generators on each side and try to get 1 generator in the middle. That's kind of like the early mid-game strategy. By the time you get to repairing the last of the 3 generators that are left on the map, you just need that 1 generator left. If you have 1 on one side of the map and 1 on the other side of the map, it becomes almost impossible for the killer to really be able to effectively patrol them, and you are better able to set yourself up for success. So if I'm going to give you one piece of advice in RPD, it's to try to make sure and try to be aware of what generators are being completed and where they're being completed. So I'm not starting in the middle. I'm in, a room.
I wish that I could tell you guys more. RPD is a map that I don't enjoy and I don't like. Actually, so if I go this way, this will get me to the center of the map. Again, I have Sprint Burst. I want to take advantage of that. So this is the center of the map. It's a Myers. So Myers is a stealth killer. So if you're going up against Myers, first piece of information, just spread out. Always spread out. Now this middle generator is probably the most important one to work on because it splits the map in half and creates two halves of the map. This is my central room. I want to get this middle generator done if I can. And I know I spent a lot of time not working on generators. Myers is much more about information, knowing where he is, and just moving away from him than anything else. As soon as you start getting terror radiuses from Myers, just move away. Myers is very, very powerful in a single spot. If he's staring at you like he's stalking me right now, just break line of sight, get away from him. Myers is going to struggle to really create a lot of pressure unless you allow him to get stalks. This is a very dangerous generator. I'm just going to get it started. Then I'm going to move away. If Myers comes by, he'll hear the noise. He'll patrol it. But I'm not really in a huge rush. I've got Sprint Burst again. And I want to get back to that middle generator. Now, Myers has a couple cheesy builds. So that's a generator, far side of the map. So I know that this side needs one, and again, I'm going to try and continue to focus on the middle generator. This is a very important generator, as we spoke about. Splitting the map in half and making Myers have to defend the entire map instead of just one half is a very big deal for us. Because the generator got finished over here, Myers is probably going over to this side of the map. So I'm going to kind of keep my camera focused on this side and look for him. What Myers needs to do to power up is he needs to be able to stalk you. While he's stalking, he's basically moving very slowly and needs to have you in a pretty good line of sight. So your goal against Myers is to always be looking out for him, and then just to try to break line of sight if he's on you. And then when I finish a generator here, I want to go over to this side of the map and I want to get another generator done. This is huge. And I already know there's another generator right down there. I'm just going to walk towards it. We're going to be patient. I thought I saw something. And then when I hear Myers terror radius, the first thing I do, I just get away. Just move away from that space. Now, Myers... Nope, just don't want to deal with it. So we've got a generator done on this side, we've got a generator done on the far side. There's almost no way we can 3-gen ourselves, which is huge. We're just going to be patient. There's oftentimes in Dead by Daylight this sense that you really need to push, you need to press, and sometimes smart play can really, really overcome aggressive play. So I'm going to repair this generator. My exhaustion perk's going down. I kind of know my general route. And so just kind of keeping track mentally. That middle generator's done. We've done. So this is where we were going to find out if he's... So there's a specific Myers that can just murder people. And we're going to figure out if we're dealing with that kind of Myers. We very well could be. It looks like we're not, which is great. It looks like we're just dealing with a standard Myers, which is very good for us. So, I want him to see me. And then I use my sprint burst. And I'm going to get that distance. Broke away. We're just gonna be patient. I don't need a rush. I'm just gonna chill out. Let that terror radius. These are the only doors in and out, so I can see where he's coming from. I'm pretty well hidden. We're going to let the exposed condition that Myers applies that allows him to instant down us wear off. Okay, and we're going to go back to our gens. That's not good. Okay, so we have one person who's been down twice. So we're going to see if we can't get some borrowed time value out of this. She needs to allow herself to get hit with this, so this is... Or she can just go for me. Okay, that's fine too. The goal there, ideally, like the correct play, is to have Claudette get close enough where she takes the hit, and then Myers slows down, and we all get to run away. Instead, I'm on a hook, and it looks like there's... Yeah, the pallet here has already been used, which is really bad. I was running for this pallet. I don't know if you can see it. Just before the light, you can see kind of splinters on the ground. That pallet has definitely been used. I know it was risky, but if Claudette takes that hit... if Claudette takes the hit there with my borrowed time perk, we, like, easily get out. This is gonna be scary. Nice. Sprint burst. Yeah, this is a terrible spot to stop. I shouldn't have dropped that pallet. I should have just kept going. He's got, so this particular Myers build allows him to be in tier 3 infinitely, so he always has instant downs. which can be challenging, but we did the macro decisions we needed to on this map effectively. We got our middle generator, split the map, and then we were able to work on those separate generators. Now, the bummer is that I need my survivor friends to have borrowed time to really get the value out of it. But right now, if one of them has borrowed time and we get off, oh, he's murdering one of them. So I can see the survivor on my right just being strangled and dead. Felix doesn't have any reason to save me. I'm just going to let myself die on hook, and hopefully Felix can get out. All right. So, overall, I think that what I'll probably do for this particular set, because I didn't get the borrowed time procs that I wanted, we got a very nice Unbreakable in game 2. We didn't really get the borrowed time value, and part of that is having survivors know borrowed time and understand it and try and play around it. If that Claudette had taken that hit, that gives both she and I time to get away from the Myers and make extra distance. Yeah, that's just tough. Interesting that he went with very interesting builds. We did fine though. The macro decisions were really where our success was in that game. If you have borrowed time, kind of your goal if the killer's coming for you is to be close enough. Let's do one more. Let's do just one more game. I wanna do one more. Myers is kind of a strange killer in that he's doing the exposed effect, and so some of what our build was trying to do was slightly countered by the killer. I want to try just uno mas on the build, and then I'll start getting this uploaded for YouTube. We'll go walk my pups, get them outside, and then we'll come back for streaming later tonight. Let's see what we get. Okay. Same thing as always with Bill. Get yourself a med kit, be able to heal yourself. Do we want to take anything off for the sprint bursts? Honestly, I really like having a looping perk. I think that having something for Bill to kind of help cover your bases is really useful. Hopefully you can see with sprint bursts, we're trying to be tactical about when we run, we're trying to be conscious about when we run, and we're avoiding running in most other cases. Another Mori. Whenever you have that last little token that pops up is always a darker shade, that means that it's the killer's little like offering for this particular match. If it's ever hidden, I don't even know that there's something that isn't Mori that stays hidden. So this killer is going to be trying to murder us. This is fine. Moris will limit the value of Unbreakable a little bit because the killer can just murder you, and a lot of the stuff we talked about where the killer kind of needs to be afraid to pick up to get Unbreakable value. It doesn't matter with the Mori because the killer just needs to click the button, start the kill animation, and then they can't be interrupted at all. Oh, nothing like some good old coffee, a little bit of DBD, some nice, relaxing generator repair to really get your day going okay. If you have questions about the maps, about the killers we're going up against, if there's anything you want to see done, if you want me to do more like killer perk analysis, other survivor perk analysis, just let me know. Comments in the YouTube section for any of that stuff, advice, feedback, questions, is all incredibly helpful. Okay. Try to find large terrain you can walk to. Well, that's a Huntress because I just saw a hatchet fly over my head. Now, because I went for a large piece of terrain, I'm hiding behind it. I can kind of see where she's looking. And I'm just trying to mirror her movements with large terrain. I'm like leaning up to try and get a better angle. Tap probably going down soon. Not a great generator in the center of the map. Again, I don't want to burn my sprint burst, although this is bad for us that I'm not on a generator pairing. This is one of the weaknesses of sprint burst, is that it kind of takes away. You lose one of two things. You lose the ability to just do your normal survivor running, or you give up your exhaustion perk. So it's definitely a weakness there. So Huntress, you'll have a pretty good idea because A, you'll see hatchets flying through the air. B, you'll hear her lullaby, which is the song. The lullaby is like a wider terror radius than her actual terror radius. When you hear the lullaby, you'll know she's roughly in the area. It's not until you hear the terror radius that you need to really be in trouble. So I'm going to go for this unhook because I've got the stuff for it. Never mind, Lori's going to go for the unhook. I'm just going to get on another generator and work it. Now, Huntress is going to come back by the hook. She's going to hear this generator being repaired. Best thing I can do is just be patient. Try and get eyes on her. Okay, she's on tap. When you hear her do her little sound to wind up, use that. Okay. Yep, okay. Sloppy butcher hemorrhage, that's fine. We got our other person off. Man, tap going to 2 hook states is bad. I'm trying to cause as much havoc when he went down as possible. Oh, our generator's done. Oh, well, okay. Let's find it. Good job. Good job, fellow survivors. Excellent work. We're not using our perks at all, but hopefully our gameplay is good enough that this feels kind of valuable. So somebody like tap goes down. I'm showing a lot of things that would make like the build perks better on the other survivors. So tap was down. We were just around her and just causing a little bit of havoc in her presence. And if tap has Unbreakable, tap potentially gets off. So the survivors are in an interesting situation now. and we'll see if they come together. It looks like they're coming for me. So if you're doing a rescue in the late game, you all want to be together. You want to kind of be working together. This is bad because she can protect both the door and me, which means that we have to get to that far door. This is, again, borrowed time on any of these survivors unhooking me. Hugely valuable. No Ed means... Okay, no borrowed time. Oh, that's right, hemorrhage. Oh, I forgot about the hemorrhage changes. So what we're doing at this point, we're looking for the hex totem. If we can get the hex totem and we can break, no one escapes death. She becomes a very basic killer again, and we have a chance of saving Michaela. It is dark, isn't it? I think that especially when I have light. So one of the pieces of feedback is that the game is very dark, and I've got the game on ultra quality just because I think it looks better. It does mean could you imagine if the hex totem was also right there? Like, what if she's just looking at it? Because when a killer has hex, no one escapes death, you really can't, you can't go for the unhooks because she's just gonna hit somebody and get that free down. I saw the fireplace and I got excited. So hex totems will be this little pile of sticks and skulls, and it'll have a slight fire effect to it. It's very important because I'm injured that I don't. I've already been here. Oh my goodness. I don't know where this is. We can go over to this area again, I guess. Oh, please don't leave yet. No, Michaela. Oh, look, guys. I'm the last survivor alive. If only I had left behind. No. I have to stick this now. It's my only choice. Because the one survivor left, yeah. Get me out, get me out, get me out! Yes! We did it. Okay. Damn, that's too bad. I wish we could have saved the Michaela. I'll do some more build games. Maybe I'll do Survivor tonight. And just try and get some footage for the videos. Yep. Hedamori, soldiers, which makes her faster. She doesn't have hatchets. Yeah, not a bad build. Okay. Again, a hex, no one escapes death. You can counter it by finding the totem. We just couldn't find it, but everybody was looking. Sloppy Butcher is fine. Nothing too scary out of that. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get this loaded up. We're gonna post it. We didn't get necessarily the footage we want. What I'll probably do is I'll probably play Survivor matches tonight, which is very atypical for me. But I'm gonna do some Survivor games. I'm gonna try and get footage for these videos. And we'll if we get more good footage, if we're able to kind of show off build perks, then we'll come back and we'll kind of reshoot some of these. We'll reclip. I think that the information I provided at the beginning, talking about these perks, is all valid and true still. But I want to find some footage that's going to highlight that and really show it off. So thank you everybody who's been hanging out. If you're watching this later and you have any feedback, again, I'm always open to feedback. I'd love to know what you guys are thinking about the videos. Love to hear about questions you have. Um, I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you all. If you want to see more of this, twitch.tv/Cabnaru. Have a great day.